Does what you say or do at home matter in the workplace? In the age of social media, that answer is not so easy. This video will explore how what you say and post on social media can affect your workplace, and how to avoid using social media in a way that violates Jack Cooper's policies. Imagine you're at work and a group of your coworkers are having a casual conversation. One of your coworkers tells a racist joke. It makes everyone uncomfortable. All Jack Cooper employees should know by now that this is unacceptable in the workplace. But now you're at home. You see a meme on Twitter that you find pretty funny. It is not something you would share at work, but you're at home. You don't even have that many coworkers who follow you on Twitter. Plus, isn't what you do on your own time your own business? What you put on social media can become a major problem in the workplace. In fact, it can cost you your job depending on the content. Let's walk through what is okay to post, what's not okay, and what are the best practices when you're not sure. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Why is it any of Jack Cooper's business what employees do on their own time? Well, good question. The answer lies in the nature of social media itself. Social media is by definition a public activity. It's social media, not personal media. Even though it may feel private, it's not. The fact is, if your post is visible to even one of your coworkers, it becomes a work-related issue. Simply put, if your coworkers see your post has implications for the workplace. Just as if your coworkers were sitting in your living room with you and you were posting. What about your First Amendment rights? Don't you have those too? Well, the First Amendment protects you from government intrusion into your exercise of free speech. Jack Cooper is a private employer, not the government, so First Amendment rights, while important, don't really apply in the workplace. While laws such as the National Labor Relations Act protect certain rights to speech, like the ability to discuss your working conditions with your coworkers, there are no laws that give employees the right to say anything they want inside or outside the workplace. So let's address content. Does this mean you are no longer allowed to have any opinion on anything remotely controversial? Are there topics that are off limits and topics that are still okay, even though they're controversial? A social media post becomes problematic when it's offensive to one or more of your coworkers based on their membership in a protected class. In other words, based on a characteristic or trait that a coworker has that is protected by law. Common class memberships that are protected by law include race, national origin, color, religion, age, sex, gender, pregnancy, disability, or veteran status. If your post is offensive to people because they belong to one or more of these protected classes, you should not post it. If your post is seen by even one of your coworkers and offends that coworker based on his or her membership in a protected class, you've just committed harassment in violation of Jack Cooper's policy. Additionally, you've triggered a legal obligation for Jack Cooper to intervene on behalf of your coworkers. Once a report is received of an offensive post, an investigation will be opened by the HR department in cooperation with the Diversity and Inclusion Commission. The content will be evaluated, and any persons involved will be provided the opportunity to give their side of the story. A recommendation will then be made on a course of action. Depending on the content, the recommendation may be training, suspension, or sometimes even termination. Are there controversial topics that don't involve legally protected topics? Sure. Sports teams, music preferences, and even political beliefs are not necessarily protected categories. However, be aware that even these safe categories can sometimes implicate protected class memberships. For example, you want to post about your favorite NFL team's decision to hire a quarterback who you do not like. Chances are, that's probably fine. However, what if your dislike for this new quarterback is because of his decision to take a knee during the national anthem last year? If the reason the future quarterback took a knee was to protest violence against blacks in America, well, now the post is not just about sports, it's about race, which is a protected class. Another example is politics. Republican, Democrat, Independent, these are not protected classes. However, politics can quickly implicate protected class membership, maybe more so than any other topic. For example, the issue of immigration reform. Insensitive comments about immigration policies are not just political, they can also be offensive to someone based on their national origin, which is a protected class. Next, let's take a look at what is meant by offensive. Offensive is defined as something causing someone to feel deeply hurt, upset, or angry. I want you to treat everyone with respect. but we're not really talking about posts that offend others because they like different sports teams or because they're from a different political party. Again, Jack Cooper's policies and legal obligations trigger when the content of your post is offensive based on someone's legally protected class membership. Also, if you are the one posting the content, it doesn't really matter if you did or did not find it offensive. The question to ask is whether or not your coworkers actually were offended, whether or not they were hurt, upset, or angry about your post. Remember, each team member at Jack Cooper has a unique background. It is hard to predict what may or may not be offensive. That is why it's better to avoid controversial posts that are related to a legally protected category. But if you are really not certain whether something is or is not offensive, try thinking through this. Would you be comfortable printing that post on a t-shirt and wearing it into the office? How would your coworkers in different areas of your work location view the shirt with your post printed on it? Or think of it this way. Is this something you would want printed and put on your boss's desk? Would you feel comfortable explaining why you posted this? Or is this post something you'd want to explain in front of a judge and a jury if Jack Cooper were ever sued because of your post? Let's review some key take-homes. First, remember that social media is not private. It's inherently a social activity. If even one of your coworkers sees your post, it has implications for the workplace whether or not you meant for it to. Next, don't post if you're not sure. It's better to err on the side of caution. The fact that you're wrestling with whether or not to post something means at least a small part of you suspects you probably shouldn't. Remember, there are no consequences for not posting the content, but the consequences for posting something offensive can be hurting someone else that you didn't mean to hurt, or even compromising your job. Remember to use extra caution when you're posting about things like race, national origin, color, age, religion, sex or gender, pregnancy, disability, or veteran status. These are legally protected classes, and if you offend somebody based on them, you've committed harassment in violation of Jack Cooper's policies. You've also triggered an obligation for the company to act on behalf of your coworkers. Also, we'd encourage you to consider unfriending or hiding posts from your contacts who continually post racist, sexist, or other inappropriate jokes and memes. This is negatively influencing the way you see your coworkers, even if you're not aware of it. If you haven't seen it yet, we'd encourage you to check out our video on implicit bias. Posts like this can actually negatively influence your thoughts about a person based on their physical characteristics without your even being aware of it. Last but not least, report offensive posts that are based on protected class membership to your supervisor or to Human Resources. Jack Cooper cannot take any action about inappropriate posts if it's not aware of them. If possible, take a screenshot so that you can share the content with your supervisor or HR, even if it's later removed by the person posting it. Let's make Jack Cooper a place that welcomes people from all backgrounds and that celebrates the strength and diversity of our team.